G'day there guys, it's Connor here again, and you guessed it, we're reading some more stories from Reddit. As always, if you enjoy these videos, be sure to hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight to the stories. Okay guys, we're on relationship advice. This one was written by a throwaway account, and it's titled, "My boyfriend called me selfish for wanting him to leave his boys' night early due to me grieving. Where do I go from here?" I've tried posting this too many times, lol. I've never used Reddit before, only seen videos, but I'm hoping to get some much needed insight. I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 4 years. Our relationship has been very good for the most part. Some fights here and there, but nothing worth noting. Until a week ago. I got a call from my brother telling me my mum had passed away last Friday. Growing up, I was never super close with her. We were usually fighting. But over the last 5 years, our relationship improved tremendously. We'd text throughout the week, and every Sunday I would go on 4 to 5 hour drives with her on speaker to keep me company, talking about anything and everything under the sun. She became my best friend. For context, my boyfriend knows how close we had gotten, and had even joined me for some of those drives. Now is the problem. My boyfriend has a fairly close group of friends that he keeps up with, usually gaming with them throughout the week. Then, once a month, him and his friends will hang out and drink. He let me know a few days prior that he would be hanging out with them that Friday. When I got the news, I immediately called him, breaking down and telling him I didn't know what to do, and that I knew I needed to be with him tonight. He went from consoling me to saying, "I let you know a few days ago I have plans with my friends. I only get to see them once a month." I told him I understood, but I really needed him, and I'm sure they would reschedule. To which he said they definitely wouldn't be able to, as they all have their own responsibilities. After some more time going back and forth, I gave in and said I would be okay with him going as long as he left early. Since he leaves at 7 p.m, I said I would like for him to come back by 11. He agreed. I spent the night going through texts with her, photos, everything I could. I tried to distract myself with other things, but nothing worked. Eventually, 10 p.m. rolls around and I text my boyfriend, "Will you be leaving in an hour?" To which he responds, "You told me 12, so I'll be leaving then." I told him I said 11 and I was standing by that. He didn't respond after and came home at 12. I asked him why he didn't reply and why he didn't just come back an hour earlier. He immediately got upset with me, telling me I was being selfish for ruining his night with his friends. Him spending an extra hour there means nothing since he still left early, and I would be fine since I, quote, didn't spend my childhood with her anyways. I told him I didn't even want him to go out with them that day to begin with since I had just gotten the news, but I agreed to it under that specific condition, and so had he. He could also just catch up with his friends when they game during the week. The fight ended with him telling me I was again being selfish as he doesn't get to see them in person often, and that I shouldn't expect him to drop everything for me. We've been fairly cold to each other since, which has left me overthinking and reevaluating our relationship. On one hand, I'm extremely heartbroken he wasn't there for me, and know that's not something I want for my future. But on the other hand, his words have definitely gotten to me, and I feel bad for separating him from his friends. I also know it would break me more to lose someone else so close to me. Where do I go from here? Wow, what the hell? I had to go back and make sure I read that correctly. This is OP's mum, and this guy's more interested in a night out drinking with his mates. Are you kidding me? Let's go to the comments. If my mother passed away and my partner didn't come home from being with his friends, that would be it for me. He's trying to tell you what he didn't do was bad because he told you it was happening. You weren't close with her in childhood, and is genuinely trying to make it your problem. You're grieving, and your boyfriend of 4 years doesn't think it's a big deal. Create a plan and end this relationship. He is totally Darvoing her. OP, Darvo is shorthand for classic abuser responses. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Your boyfriend did all of them. He denied that he agreed to come home at 11, he attacked you for asking him for emotional support, and then made himself the victim of your demands, instead of letting you be the child who just lost her mother and needs emotional support. OP, get out now. This is a man who will always choose his needs over yours. Reevaluating your relationship is not overthinking. Sadly, he has revealed a true glimpse of what he is, and it wasn't pretty. You were grieving the loss of a parent, and he couldn't even be bothered to leave his boys' night, and then he had the audacity to call you selfish. His actions that night and after showed you just how selfish he is and how little he truly respects you. No decent partner would not respond with some form of compassion and support when their partner lost a parent. He showed you very clearly where you stand with him, and that is second at best. You should do more than reevaluate. You should dump him. Sounds like the boys are more important to him than his girlfriend and her intense grief. My wife would have filed for divorce the next day if I went out with friends after her mother passed last year. Agreed. I was with a really crappy guy, but when my grandma passed and I was grieving, it was the first time I couldn't make excuses for him being selfish. What kind of person abandons their grieving partner for something insignificant and then further burdens them by picking fights because it isn't about them for once? No amount of low self-esteem on my end allowed the mental gymnastics required to make that sound okay. It's just unbelievably crappy, like actually difficult to believe that someone could drop the ball this hard for someone they even kind of care about. Imagine if Opie got sick, or was pregnant and needed help. I'd be terrified to put my or my hypothetical child's needs in the hands of someone who can't come home an hour early from boys' night because his long-term girlfriend's mother died that frickin' day. I'd be tempted to call it rage bait if I haven't lived it. There really are people like this. Edit to add, not just me by the way, my friends also have had experiences dating that are bewildering in how out of touch they are. Like my best friend's ex tried to talk dirty to her and initiate sex to comfort her when she was going through something difficult and asking for support. Then if she didn't engage, he'd get pissy and say, "Well, that's what makes me happy, so I was helping you," and then abandon her and try to guilt her. I think a lot of people are really selfish and emotionally intelligent. It's not like he'd never see his friends again. They weren't shipping out for a military deployment or something. Drinking and his buddies were more important than you that night. Maybe this is the first time that he's had the opportunity to show you who he really is in tough situations, but now he's shown you. Can you imagine your whole life like this? What happens when your brother dies, your dad? What happens when a child gets seriously ill, or you do, and it's buddy night? I've treated complete strangers as more of a priority than your boyfriend treats you. If I'd met someone that day and they found out their mum just died, I wouldn't leave them to go drinking, let alone if they were someone I cared about. End it. This guy doesn't care about you at all. Opie, a few things first, okay? Your relationship with your mother is very natural. Our little girls pull away with lots of fighting to gain their independence and sense of self. It's as natural as breathing. Also as natural, they come back to us and we become besties. Suddenly, our independent teens who think we're unreasonable, don't understand crap and think we're mean, become stage 1 clingers who call and text us 500 to 500 times per day and insist on being closer to us in their 20s than they were when we breastfed them. So just know that your mother loved you with all her heart and soul and wouldn't change a thing about you. Next, dump this boyfriend. It's over. Get close to your brother and the family and friends you've left. You don't have to break up with this boy right now, as you'll be very busy in the oncoming weeks and probably a little lost in the oncoming months, but like burying the dead, the breakup must happen. Tough times are ahead for you, little one, and for that I'm very sorry. I'd feel this for you if I could. Just know that on behalf of this Reddit community, we're here for you and uplifting you with our thoughts, prayers, and good vibes. Okay, some great comments there. Alright, OP updates 2 days later. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone that commented. I spent a good while reading every single comment, so for everyone that gave me advice and shared their stories, please know I'm extremely grateful for you. I also really appreciate everyone that gave me their condolences. Now for the update. A little while after posting, one of my boyfriend's friends reached out to me. He asked me if I had posted it because if I did, he had something to tell me. I said yes, and he told me before my boyfriend left their boys' night, he had started complaining about me to everyone there, telling them I was being a psycho and forcing him to leave. He completely lied about my relationship with my mum and told them I wasn't close with her at all, rarely talked to her. Anytime I mentioned her, I did nothing but crap talk her, and that I was using her death as a way to control him. I also learned throughout our entire relationship he'd tell his friends about every fight of ours, and again would completely lie about everything that happened in them. For context, I'm not close with any of his friends, and he had apparently told them I was faking my personality whenever I interacted with them, and crap talked them when they weren't around as well. Ironic. So I don't necessarily blame them for believing it. The only reason why his friend reached out was because my boyfriend had done the same thing in past relationships, and he was starting to get suspicious and tired of it. I confronted my boyfriend about it afterwards, and he denied everything for a while before ultimately admitting to it all. He started crying, saying he doesn't know why he's like this, but that he loves me, can't live without me, anything and everything you can think of. I packed whatever I could and told him I needed time to think. I'd be staying with my brother in the meantime, as I had to drive out to go to my mum's funeral and go through her things. So, for the few that asked if I had another support system, my family lives a few states away, as my boyfriend and I started out long distance, and I moved away from them a couple of years ago for him. The few new friends I made are away travelling for the summer, which I couldn't join in on for numerous reasons. I also couldn't get out of the bed for the majority of the week, so I didn't leave sooner. What he didn't know at the time was that I didn't need time to think. I'd already decided I would not be coming back. As I said in my original post, there was nothing awful worth noting about him during our relationship. He didn't treat me exceptionally well, but not terrible either, so prior to his friend reaching out, I genuinely didn't know what to think of the situation. To me, it was out of character for him. My main thought was the news of her passing might have hurt him a lot as well, and he didn't know how to handle it. But I now know that he was an entirely different person with his friends, and what was out of character for me was completely in character for them. It definitely scares me to think of what would have happened if I didn't post and never learned of the things he was saying when I wasn't around. I also have no clue what I'd do if another life-changing event happened and he put something else above being there for me. So to everyone that wanted an update, just know I've completely removed him from my life. No amount of tears and fake apologies will convince me otherwise. He wasn't there when I needed him, and that's enough. But the lying and fake stories he'd share on top of that is terrifying. I know my mum would rip me a new one if she heard all of this, and I did anything other than leave him, lol. I will always be grateful for this little corner of the internet, and the awful future it saved me from. Alrighty folks, and that's the end of that story. About as good of an ending as you could hope, I'd say. One thing's for sure, she doesn't deserve to be dealing with all this nonsense after her mother's just died. Shame on her ex, truly. Anyway guys, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Otherwise, moving on. Okay, this next one was posted on Petty Revenge. It was written by user Disco Chiligon Ball, and it's titled, Entitled Lady Refuses to Pick Up Dog Poop After Her Dog Craps in People's Yards. I accept her challenge. I live in a fairly large city with a lot of good dog owners, but every so often we get people, especially right after the pandemic, that are a-holes about picking up after their pups. I have a security cam that faces the area where people like to let their dogs pee. I'm never around at that time of day, but I can see who's letting their dogs do what in my yard at all times. One lady lets her dog crap in the sidewalk area of my yard every day, never picked it up. I posted on the neighborhood network, no response. Signs asking people to pick up the dog crap did nothing. My neighbors saying, "Hey, pick up your dog's crap, lady," did nothing. She still let her dog crap in my yard, right in front of my wife's car, every day, like clockwork. She told my neighbor once that she didn't have time because she had to walk her dog before she went to work. My neighbor said, "That's super rude not to pick up after your dog." She said, "What are you going to do about it?" and walked off. My neighbor, being the kind woman that she is, picked up the dog poop and threw it away for me, and then she told me later that day about Pooper Lady and her very rude interaction. Now, we had a dog not too long ago, which is sort of an understatement. We had a 250-pound doofus Maximus who loved people, loved dogs, loved cats, loved kids. He was super friendly to everyone, and we left a doggy treat library up in his memory when he passed, 2 years ago of old age. His passing broke me, but the one thing that I learned is exactly how horrible our yard was, even before a human-sized dog used it as a lavatory every day. I've spent some time fixing the lawn by replacing the grass with nitrogen-absorbing plants like microclover and other xeriscape lawn replacement plants that are highly resistant to dog urine, because we do intend to get another dog someday. My old boy, when he crapped in the yard, took massive dumps that would reach 5 to 6 inches in height if he stayed in one place. I had a scoop shovel and a 14-gallon bucket half filled with sawdust like an elephant trainer and would go around the yard every day to pick all of it up. When we went for walks, even when he was a wee 90-pound puppy at 4 months old, I took grocery bags with plenty of poop bags with me on walks because he would poop multiple times, and I preferred not to have our neighbours think a homeless person shat on their lawn after we went by. When he passed, I put a little free dog treat library along with free poop bags for the local pups and their parents, because, well, we had a supply. He ate as much food a day as the average teenage boy, and loved donuts as much as Homer Simpson. Asparagus, oranges, and the doggy bits from steak, oh yeah. Plus, a dog treat the size of a hand was just normal sized for him. The upshot is that what we had on hand when he passed is roughly 8 times the normal amount a dog parent would have, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so we provided it for free, until it ran out. I even have a small bucket nearby labelled, "If you have dog poop bags, please drop them here," because the raging debate of whether it's rude to drop tied-off dog crap bags in a nearby garbage can rages on the next door lists every year, along with the fireworks conversation that starts around July 2nd and continues for the next 2 weeks. The point is that there was absolutely no frickin' excuse here. On top of that, I'd previously met this lady and her dog when I was walking my old boy around the block. She is one of those people who walk their dog while surfing their phone and plugged into a podcast or call at all times, and her dog is one of those long-haired, fluffy dogs that look like they've been run into a wall multiple times head first. It's also an a-hole, and it's aggressive towards other dogs, even ones roughly 20 times its size. Every time we met walking, she barely registered her dog trying to bite mine until I would yell, "Curb your dog, lady," and blocked it bodily. So, poop bags available, notices, neighbours saying knock that crap off, Pooper Lady Karen doing Pooper Lady Karen things with muffin paws, the a-hole crapzer. Fine, we can play that game. I started my research by checking my house security camera. She was always there between 8:02 and 8:03, religiously, on the dot, every workday, every time, never on the weekends and never after 8:04 am. She was always dressed in very nice business casual with expensive shoes and a purse or sling bag, but never with poop bags. I set up one of my Rainpoint Wi-Fi enabled automatic sprinkler hose bib things and connected 2 high volume, highly visible water sprayers for that grassy area, one on each side, one facing the sidewalk from my house with some overlap to the sidewalk strip set to a 180-degree semicircle, and one in the sidewalk strip facing the house set to the same dispersal pattern. The nice thing about Rainpoint is that it's hooked into your house Wi-Fi and you can control it anywhere, anytime, just by pressing a button widget on your phone. You can also set up automatic watering timers and hook it into weather and soil moisture IFTTT systems, but the fact that you can set it off remotely is more important here. I set the timer to go off at 8:03 exactly and spray for 10 minutes on full blast. And by full blast, I mean I made sure to close off all other hoses and not start the dishwasher or laundry before I left for the day at 7 am, so the full experience of 15 GPM water pressure could be enjoyed by all. The next morning, I turned on my remote viewing of my security camera at work. Here she comes, dressed more nicely than usual in her business casual, walking her aggro a-hole dust mop of a dog, face in the phone, earbuds plugged in, volume up. The dust mop angles his way towards the same spot she always lets him crap, starts to squat, and then dual sprays of ice-cold water catch her dog on the face and her at the waist. Full blast. The one from the house started first, the one in the sidewalk strip started 10 seconds later. She stood there screaming on the security cam for 30 seconds, then stormed across the grass to pick up her dog, who at this point has been turned from a fluffy ball of perfectly groomed dog to a filthy wet mop with extra dirt and powdered steer manure compost. And as she turns to storm away with her dog, she slips on the fresh dog crap that her dog had just dropped, and that was now getting sprayed with water at 15 GPM. She lands on fresh microclover that had been lovingly fertilized with composted steer manure from our family farm the day before, so she doesn't get injured, but when she gets up, her very expensive business casual outfit is caked with dog crap, fresh green stains, and steer manure. Karen exits stage left, screaming. I start laughing so hard my boss has to come out to ask what's the matter. I kept the Nextdoor tab up in my browser all day, set to check for new posts from my specific neighborhood with keywords. I was not disappointed. About an hour later, I saw a Nextdoor post talking about how horrible people start their watering during the time people are walking their dogs. Yep, it's her. Someone replies to her thread saying, maybe just walk a different way or go a little later. Ah, you don't understand. My dog is soaking wet and it ruined his grooming session for the week. Now I have to get him in and get him cleaned up after work. Well, thank you for the heads up, Pooper Lady. The next morning, I turned into my security cam at work and had the smart timer widget up. I tested it the day before remotely and made sure the lag time was minimal on both the camera and the sprinklers. Sure enough, here comes the pooper and his mistress, right on time. She's dressed up in business wear, complete with heels and a full suit today, which, might be a bad choice. To her credit, she is a bit leery of the yard, but she's checking her watch and watching the sprinkler. The dog starts to squat right at 8:26 a.m. I hit the button. My security camera is about 30 feet away behind triple pane glass windows inside a house we did extra insulation on this last spring. It has a crap microphone that barely picks up anything. I could hear her scream of rage like a pair of wild foxes in heat rutting 2 feet from my head. Her dog was turned from a fluff ball to a wet mop once more. But this time he was still mid-crap, so when she grabbed him physically, I could see her trying desperately to avoid the aerial crap torpedoes popping from his ass and flying into the air all over the sidewalk and the walkway to the street. Her phone clatters to the ground, she breaks a heel stumbling over, and one final doggy turd flies up into the air, executes a perfect 360 double pike, and lands on her blouse. The next day was a Thursday. I popped my browser tab open and lay in wait. I watch as Pooper Lady comes down the street, absorbed in her phone, dragging her mop of dog along behind her. When they get to my house, the dog stops and will not go any further. I see her turn and tug at his leash. He refuses. She stops. She looks at the area of the yard where my sprinklers are set up. She looks at him. She pulls at his leash again, and they begin walking towards the same area once more. And just before they get to the outside edge of my property, I turn on the sprinklers. The 3 seconds of lag means that by the time they're halfway to the spot of Pooper Lady, they're about 5 feet inside the spray zone. And the dog just nopes the hell out of there quick enough. She is startled and drops the leash. He runs off back the way they came, and she does the running and heels thing out of frame after him. That Friday morning, no Pooper Lady. The next morning around 10 a.m, I see the Pooper Lady's dog, but he's being walked by a young woman wearing the t-shirt of a local dog walking service. She stops by my doggy supply library, she smiles, she reaches down to pick up the poop, she tucks it in a bag, ties it off, and walks on with the dog, who looks much happier overall. After about 3 months, I no longer see either Pooper Lady or her dust mop of a dog anywhere in the neighbourhood. I guess she moved somewhere that she and her aggro a-hole dog can live in peace and crap wherever they like. Still have the sprinkler set up, but now I tend to set it to run when nobody's around, like at 4 a.m, and only when the grass really needs it. Oh wow, what a vivid story, and highly entertaining. Anyway guys, we're going to leave it there. That's it from me today. Hope you guys enjoyed those stories, thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.